Good morning. And welcome to Allen Avenue Unitarian Universalist Church, or A2U2 for short. Whether today is your first time with us or you've been coming here for many years, we are so glad you are with us this morning. For those of you I may not have met before, my name is Reverend Tara. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I serve as the minister of this congregation. And today I am delighted to lead worship alongside my colleague and friend, Reverend Laurel Gray. Rev Laurel is the incoming senior minister at the UU Church of Reading, Massachusetts, after serving congregations in Concord, Westboro, and most recently Newburyport, Mass. She's a graduate of Yale Divinity School and worked in the wedding industry before becoming a minister. Rev Laurel has a pastor's heart and also an extreme attention to detail that allows her to create the most gorgeous fiber art. Some of you will maybe want to...
I left my knitting in your office.
She left her knitting in my office, yeah. With her knitting and her sewing machine. And so yes, if those knitters and quilters want to connect with Laurel at coffee hour, I'm sure she would be grateful. She visits us today from Amesbury, Mass, where she lives with her dog Henry, which some of you may have already heard or seen. Please give Reverend Laurel an A2U2 welcome. We at Allen Ave are growing a community that transforms lives through the power of love. Our mission calls us to celebrate diversity, encourage spiritual growth, and promote social responsibility as we travel on and care for this earth. A special welcome to those who are joining on Zoom this morning. If you're attending for the first time, please fill out the welcome card on our website so we can get to know you a little better. A couple of announcements for this morning. Laurel will visit with you after worship at coffee hour, and I will begin our spring New to UU class in the gathering room, or 7-9, after the service at 11:30. If you have not signed up for New to UU and would like to join us, please feel free. Lunch and childcare are both provided. Another announcement is please save the date for the celebration of life for Shirley Curry. It'll be this coming Saturday, May 9th at 10:30 a.m. at First Congregational Church in South Portland, which is where Shirley served as music minister for 52 years before joining our congregation. So Reverend Allison, the pastor there, and I will lead the service together, and it's going to be a really beautiful tribute to Shirley's life. And finally, a big gratitude to those who I think probably are still at Ferry Beach. Quite a number of our folks are at Ferry Beach today. It was our annual retreat weekend. We had a blast yesterday. I won't even get into it, but the whole relay race situation with bananas, and I think I might have hit Patricia Ellen in the face with one, and it was a beautiful chaos. So that's some of them are worshiping there on the beach this morning, and we are with them in spirit. Now we invite you to take this moment to silence your cell phones so we can be fully present to one another, and this time we share. After the service, please grab a cup of coffee or tea in the kitchen window and stay for conversation. In the foyer, if you don't mind chaos, or you can bring your coffee back here into the sanctuary for a quieter environment. Or you can head all the way down the long hallway and join a group for the brown bag brunch. Those on Zoom may stay online and connect with one another in the Zoom room. And now let us center our hearts and minds with the sound of the singing bowl.
Good morning. It is so lovely to be with all of you, and thank you for inviting me. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. This is We Hold Hope Close. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that does not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. So let us worship together.
As we light our sanctuary chalice this morning, those joining on Zoom are invited to light a chalice or candle near you to connect us more deeply with one another. Dr. Rebecca Tausig writes that it's so easy to see the one disabled person and say she needs a cure so she can fit into our world. It's much less common, much harder to recognize we need to change our world to fit more people. We light our chalice today in honor of all those who have struggled and continue to struggle to change our world to make space for all kinds of people in all kinds of bodies. We light our community candle this morning as well. Today, acknowledging the steps taken this week to dismantle the Voting Rights Act, steps that go against our Unitarian Universalist value of inclusive democratic process. May we continue to work for what is fair and just and right. Will you take a breath with me? Our opening hymn this morning is number 22 in your gray hymnal and will be up on the screen, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. Dale will play through the whole tune once, and then you're invited to rise on your feet or in your hearts as we sing together. now is the time in our service where we engage in the spiritual practice of generosity and giving. Our gifts support the ministries of this congregation and our work in the broader community. Each week, 1/3 of our offering is given away to a local nonprofit organization doing work to advance our shared values in the world. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Youth and Family Outreach, who provides early care and education programs for children aged 6 weeks to 5 years to allow their caregivers to complete their education and join the workforce. Their mission is to break the cycle of poverty and prepare children for success in school and beyond. Donations can be made now as the basket is passed through the donate button on our website or on Breeze if you're a member, making a note that your gift is for Share the Plate, not your pledge. If you're visiting us for the first time this morning, please know that your presence is your gift to us. At this time, our offering will be collected and gratefully received.
Our reading this morning is called The Prophecy of the Disabled Body, and it's an excerpt from the theological statement at the beginning of the report of the A2U Ministers Association Ableism Task Force. Our bodies inherently have value. Our bodies are where we live, and they're the container for all of our experiences, including our religious and spiritual experiences. If we tolerate or perpetuate the devaluing of other people's bodies, we're also willing to devalue their spiritual experiences. Ableism is the centering of able bodies and experiences over disabled bodies and experiences, while simultaneously devaluing and erasing those disabled bodies. If, in the words of Eli Clare, ableism is the grease that makes the machine of all other oppressions move forward, then the devaluing of disabled bodies is connected to all of the other bodies that don't have to matter. If we believe that all people have inherent worth and dignity, then we also believe that all bodies have inherent worth and dignity. And if we believe that all bodies have inherent worth and dignity, we also believe that every person also has agency over their body, that people are more than the work that they do, that caring for one another is a moral responsibility, even bodies that do not conform to a capitalist standard of working for pay. All bodies are worthy of our care and our concern because they are human people with human bodies. If we believe that one of the sources of our living tradition is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and openness to the forces which create and uphold life, then we must notice that to which we are moved. If disabled bodies are part of life, then they are good. Every body is the location of holiness, not just able bodies. When we sing songs that say the able-bodied way is the only way, we're missing an entire possibility. Instead of focusing less on metaphor, we can consider what else is possible. As Unitarian Universalists, we assert that revelation is not sealed. There is a specific ongoing revelation that is the disabled body as a text, and post-textually as an experience. So the disabled body then is a prophetic body. It calls beloved community to account for a past in which the good news has only been for those with the right abilities, the acceptable bodies. And still, the disabled body cannot be hidden nor silenced, though it may not audibly speak. The disabled body bridges time to a future in which belonging and contribution are a natural function of inclusion as a core value and spiritual practice of beloved community. The prophecy of the disabled body is this indictment and this promise. To what does it call us?
Good morning, I'm Rick Kimball, and I'm standing on behalf of the choir to introduce our anthem to you. It is written by Will Allen Drumpool in poetic form, and here's how it goes. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fears of him. But he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim near, you are wasting strength building here. Your journey will end with this passing day. You never again must pass this way. You have crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you the bridge at the eventide? The builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, in the path I have come, he said. There followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been not to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building the bridge for him.
choir. That was lovely. A few years ago, the director of religious education at one of my previous congregations recommended a documentary film to me called Crip Camp. Is anyone familiar with this? Because if you need a real hopeful, I'm going to tell you the story, but I also recommend you watch it. The film is about a camp for disabled teens in the 1970s that was officially called Camp Jened and was unofficially called Crip Camp by the campers themselves because they were so often referred to as crippled. And the movie tells the story of this movement that began at Camp Jened and led ultimately to the creation of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990. And our children's story focused on that capital crawl, which was that culmination, right, of decades of work by disabled activists. The moment itself, when members of Disabled in Action physically got out of their wheelchairs and then crawled up the Capitol steps, represented a kind of profound insistence on being included. The inaccessibility of that Capitol building and the world at large was precisely what they were fighting, insisting that they and everyone belonged in public spaces. At the beginning of this movie, one of the camp counselors says that he realized that there wasn't anything wrong with the campers. The problem, he said, was with the world. And it was the experience of the camp that gave this group of disabled teenagers the space to learn how to self-organize and to have that experience of just being normal that didn't yet exist in that outside world. They were able to form these deep connections with other disabled people, and that created this possibility of working together to advocate for their own and each other's needs. One of the campers, named Judy Human, became a kind of leader at camp. And the film follows this arc as she becomes just this powerhouse of an activist. Together, they lobbied and organized for disabled rights, even once shutting down traffic in New York City by blocking a key intersection and just sticking themselves right in the middle. As young adults, many of the campers then moved to Berkeley, California to create something called the Center for Independent Living, which was the first organization of its kind in 1972. The center helped disabled people find jobs and housing, provided transportation, and created, again, connections between disabled people so that they could help each other. At a time when many disabled people were institutionalized under horrific, unthinkable conditions, the Center for Independent Reliving was this radical reordering of the status quo. Then in 1990, in response to the failure of lawmakers to enforce Section 504, which required accessibility in federally funded buildings, Disabled in Action staged a sit-in at the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare for nearly a month under Judy Human's leadership. Nearly everyone participating in the sit-in had some kind of disability, many of them in wheelchairs, some of them fully paralyzed, and yet they spent a full month locked inside of San Francisco City Hall without steady access to food, places to sleep, or hot water for bathing. Can you imagine this? Even doing this able-bodied sounds extraordinary, but to do it as someone who's paralyzed or in a wheelchair, and those who could even went on a hunger strike. These conditions were just unthinkable, and yet they stayed, and the movement started to grow. And then the Black Panthers heard about the sit-in and started bringing food to the protesters. And when asked why were they sharing their limited resources with disability advocates, the Black Panthers said they were all working for liberation. And when the FBI cut off the phone lines to prevent protesters from sharing information with the outside world, the deaf activists inside City Hall started signing out the windows to other deaf people, rendering the phone lines unnecessary, which is amazing. Their deafness wasn't a hindrance. They couldn't use the phone anyways. It was an asset that served all of them. And as an aside, I recommend you look into the deaf people in NASA research that allowed going to the moon to become possible. I don't know if anyone's seen this on social media. This story is amazing. And that, too, is an extraordinary story of how disability made a new reality for everyone possible. So go look up the NASA deaf scientists. But Disabled in Action's slogan was, "A people united can never be defeated." Ultimately, a group of the protesters, led by Judy Heumann, traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with lawmakers, culminating in that Capitol crawl. It's extraordinary watching this documentary as it follows the story of everything that had to happen to make the Capitol crawl and the ADA possible. There are moments and movements in our lives that invite us into our interconnectedness, moments that remind us that liberation is only ever shared. We have to wonder how many people and groups and acts of care it took to make Americans with Disability Act a reality. It was the Black Panthers showing up with food to feed the protesters camped out in City Hall. It was those deaf activists signing out the window because they knew how to communicate without phones. It was the Vietnam veterans joining forces with Disabled in Action. It was the steel workers in DC who drove activists around the city in the back of a box truck because they couldn't use public transit in their wheelchairs. It was the technicians on strike at ABC7 creating a news vacuum so the footage of the protests was put on national television. It was the journalists embedded with the protesters using their skills and their access to tell a story that was being silenced. And it was those activists themselves who had this vision for a better world, one in which disability was simply part of being human. It was their courage to insist that the world make space for them that ultimately made space for all of us. I can tell you that I would likely not be a minister without the ADA because of a running accident in graduate school that left me with a traumatic brain injury. And it was because of the ADA that I was given the accommodations that made finishing my degree and becoming a minister possible. You can't see that by looking at me, right? And I'm just one person. Think about all the ways that the ADA has transformed our world and all of our lives for the better. And it began with a group of disabled teenagers who went to a camp where they were treated differently than they were in the outside world. A place where they all belonged fully as they were, where they got to be normal, right? And they took that back out into the world and worked together to force society to change. The problem was not them. The problem was the world's. Places that act as an incubator for world building are powerful and precious things. Places that help us to imagine a world remade by an ethic of love. Places that are reordered in the image of justice. Because if a new world is possible in this place, what else is possible? Yes, the injustice in the world is often overwhelming, but it's stories like the teens from Camp Jened who grew up to become activists who quite literally changed the world, who insisted on their own humanity, and in doing so made space for all of us. It's stories like this that remind us that more is possible. Stories that remind us that all flourishing is mutual and liberation is only ever shared. Stories that ask us to imagine a new way and remind us that whatever we offer to the movement of change matters. It also matters that we have those places that help us imagine a new set of possibilities. It matters what we do here in this congregation, in all other congregations. It matters because the places that create these conditions for liberation germinate that collective change, right? That's this planting of spring seeds. The places that abide by a different set of rules change our understanding of what else is possible in the outside world. So in this place, we do not serve empire. We do not barter with humanity. We do not coerce. In this house, we are planting the seeds of a new world, a world built in the image of love and in the shape of justice, a world in which we are honest about our power and our misdeeds, a world in which we are all worthy and belong, no conditions, exactly as we are. Because a people united will never be defeated. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. It's number 1017, and that teal hymnal, Building a New Way, 1017. That was a good way to end, right? Gets you ready for coffee hour. In this house, we are planting the seeds of a new world, a world built in the image of love and the shape of justice, a world in which we are honest about our power and our misdeeds, a world in which we are all worthy exactly as we are, no conditions. May we work until this house extends so far that no one is beyond its reach, Our worship has ended. That's delightful. Go in peace. It was so very good to be with you all. You don't want fire left behind.